Some say single mothers are the easiest to fool. Bullshit. We just don't have time to play your games. I, Emma, am 25, and my son is 5. My youth was wasted, but Elliot is my greatest gift. Raising him is my sole motivation for opening my eyes every day. Blind dates? That's a luxury. My mom doesn't think so. The WeChat contact she pushed towards me had a profile picture of a man in a suit with a floor-to-ceiling window overlooking the city. The caption read, "James, a promising young man, sincerely seeking a wife." Mom, would an elite man like him be short of girlfriends? I tapped my phone screen. He's either a scammer or he's out of his mind. You brat. He's the CEO of a big company, too busy with his career to keep up. The matchmaker said he likes down-to-earth girls and doesn't mind if she has a child. My mom's voice boomed through the phone, "You're going to meet him. Tomorrow at 3 p.m., Blue Bay Cafe." Fine, if I don't go, she'll nag me for a year. But I'll go, it's just the time it takes to drink a cup of coffee, I can afford it. Consider it giving Elliot a quiet weekend. Blue Bay Cafe. I pushed open the door and stepped inside, the air conditioning making me shiver. A man sat by the window. He wore a dark gray suit, his hair was meticulously styled, and his profile was sharply defined. He was 10 times more imposing in person than in his photo. I went over and sat down. "James?" He looked up. His gaze, how to put it, was like he was assessing a contract to be signed. "Emma," his voice was low and cold. "Sorry, there was traffic," I lied. "It's all right." He pushed the menu towards me. "What would you like to drink?" "The cheapest iced Americano." "Thanks." Saving money is instinctive. He raised an eyebrow slightly and ordered himself a hand-drip geisha. The atmosphere turned as cold as an icebox after the waiter left. His gaze swept over my faded canvas bag, but he didn't speak. "James," I began, "you probably know my situation. I have a 5-year-old son." Emma," he interrupted me. "My time is precious. Let's be frank, I need a wife in name only to appease my family's pressure to get married. After the marriage, I will guarantee your and your son's livelihood. No interference between us, 3-year agreement. Generous compensation." He handed me a check. 6 zeros. It was dazzling. I laughed. "James, what's the difference between this and hiring an assistant? And it even includes room and board benefits?" He frowned. "I don't sell myself, James. And I certainly won't trade my son's life." I stood up. "This coffee's on me. Consider it a thank you for taking the time to interview me." I pulled out a crumpled $50 bill, slapped it on the table, and turned to leave. No sound behind me. Good. On my way home, my phone rang. It was Elliot's kindergarten teacher calling. "Elliot's mom. Come quick. Elliot posted a missing person ad online." My head buzzed. I rushed home and turned on my computer. A super popular local parenting forum. The pinned post, titled in blood red, "Help me. I need to find my dad." Posted by Elliot's Ultraman. Click on it. A photo of Elliot holding up a homemade missing person poster. The poster, written in a crooked hand, reads, "My dad is very tall and handsome, with a small scar on his left eyebrow. Mom says he's Superman, and he's lost. Does anyone know him? Please contact me." A crying face is drawn at the end. The comments section exploded. "Oh my God. Poor baby. Where's the mom? How could she let her child post this? Docs. Find the baby's dad. Judging by the child's features, the dad must be a handsome guy." My blood pressure soared. "Elliot!" I yelled. The little one peeked out of the room, clutching a crayon. "Mommy. I'm helping you find Daddy. You said Daddy's a great hero, but he's just lost." I was so angry I felt like my vision was going to blurt out. I couldn't exactly tell him it was just a fairy tale for kids, could I? Delete the post right now. Immediately. Why? He pouted. I miss my dad. No reason. I abruptly shut down the computer. My phone started vibrating incessantly. Unknown numbers, text messages, WeChat friend requests, it all came flooding in. Some offered sympathy, some condemned, some even asked, how much for a sugar daddy/sugar baby? My hands trembled as I blocked him and turned off my phone. The world was finally quiet. Elliot looked at me with teary eyes. My heart softened, and I hugged him. Elliot, Daddy went to a very, very far place. He's not coming back. Don't do this again, okay? He nodded, sobbing. A week later. The atmosphere at my small company suddenly became tense. The big boss came out to greet me personally. James. What brings you here in person? Please come in. The boss bowed and scraped. I stood frozen at the door of the break room, holding my coffee cup. The man who entered, surrounded by a crowd, wore a dark gray suit and had a faint crease on his left eyebrow. James. His gaze swept across the crowd, landing precisely on my face. Cold, sharp, and scrutinizing. I nearly spilled my coffee. Why would he be here? Our company is just a small, insignificant company that develops mini-programs. We have absolutely nothing to do with tech giants like him. That afternoon, I was called into the big boss's office. James sat in his executive chair, like an emperor. The big boss stood to the side, smiling obsequiously. Emma? James flipped through a resume, my resume. James, I said, bracing myself. Your son's name is Elliot? He looked up, his gaze sharp as a nail. My heart sank. Yes. 5 years old? Yes. He closed his resume, leaning slightly forward. Last Wednesday, on the local parenting forum, that post looking for your father, was it your son who posted it? My scalp tingled. He's just a kid, he didn't know any better, he posted it randomly. It's already been deleted. Why did he post that? He pressed. He misses his dad. I dodged the question. Where's his father? James's gaze was fixed on me, brooking no escape. The air froze. Sweat beaded on the big boss's forehead. Dead, I uttered. James's eyes suddenly darkened. He didn't ask any more questions, waving his hand. The big boss, as if granted a reprieve, said, Emma, get out, get out. I fled as if my life depended on it. When I got off work, my phone received a text message from an unknown number, underground parking garage. Let's talk. James. I gripped my phone tightly. What was coming couldn't be avoided. In the empty parking garage, his black sedan lay dormant like a beast. The window rolled down. Get in. James, talk to me here. I stood still. He got out of the car and took a few steps closer. His tall figure exuded a strong sense of oppression. Elliot's father, really dead? His voice was low and cold. What does this have to do with you? I looked up and stared directly at him. Is there a scar on his left eyebrow? James stared at me. My heart pounded. James, what do you mean? 6 years ago, on the night of October 15th, at the Blue Ocean Hotel, room 1708. He spoke each word slowly and deliberately. My face turned deathly pale. That chaotic, absurd night. How did you know? My voice trembled. That night, it was me. James's voice was like an icicle, shattering all my hopes. I staggered, my back hitting the cold wall. Impossible, I murmured. Emma, he took out his phone, opened a photo, and held it up to my face. Look at this. In the photo was a cheap silver bracelet that I had lost in the hotel years ago. Next to it was a room key, number 1708. That night I was tricked and disoriented. When I woke up, you were gone. Only this remained. He put away his phone. I looked for you. But the trail went cold. Until last week, with your son's post. He took a step closer, shadows falling over me. Elliot, he's my son. The next morning, there was a knock on the door. Standing outside were James and two strangers in suits carrying silver suitcases. Emma, these are colleagues from the GU Group's legal department, James said businesslike. We need to obtain Elliot's biological sample for a paternity test. No. I instinctively blocked the doorway. Elliot rubbed his eyes and came out. Mom, who is it? James's gaze fell on Elliot's face, and the cold mask seemed to crack slightly. He crouched down, trying to soften his voice. Elliot? It's me. Hello, Uncle. Elliot looked at him curiously. Elliot, go back to your room. I pushed my son into the room and closed the door. James. What right do you have? I lowered my voice, burning with anger. You think you're who you are? Elliot is mine alone. Emma, a legal representative, stated, James has provided partial CCTV footage from 6 years ago, along with his detailed biometric data, which, combined with the timeline, shows a high degree of correlation. Currently, the chain of evidence is in James's favor. If you refuse to cooperate with the forensic examination, we will apply to the court for enforcement. Enough. I interrupted him, looking at James. What do you want? To confirm the facts. James's eyes were complicated. If he's my son, my bloodline, James's, can't be outcast. Outcast? I laughed angrily. Elliot is doing just fine with me. He doesn't need you to suddenly appear as his savior. Very good? James glanced at my cramped rented room, with mold stains left by water seepage in the corners. You mean by very good? You mean he has to live in a place like this with you, go to the most ordinary kindergarten, and even post online to find his father? His words were like knives, stabbing into my heart. Emma, he called my name for the first time, his voice lower. I don't deny your sacrifices. But children have the right to know the truth, the right to have better. I clenched my fists, my nails digging into my palms. Mom, Elliot's timid voice came from under the door. I took a deep breath and opened the door. Elliot, I knelt down, looking into my son's clear eyes. This uncle wants to confirm something. We need your cooperation. Don't be afraid, Mommy's here. The legal representative took a swab from Elliot's mouth. The process was quick. The results will be available in 24 hours at the earliest, the legal representative told James. James nodded, his gaze returning to Elliot with an indescribable intensity. In the meantime, I'll send someone, he said. No need. I refused immediately. We're fine. Please don't bother us until the results are in. James gave me a deep look. Okay. He left me a private number. Let me know when the results are in. The 24 hours of waiting felt like an eternity. Elliot asked innocently, Mommy, who is that handsome uncle? He seems a little sad? I hugged him. Someone who might know Daddy. Really? Elliot's eyes lit up. My heart clenched. The next afternoon, the phone rang. It was James's number. The results are in, he said, his voice devoid of emotion. The parentage is confirmed. Elliot is my son. Although I had a premonition, hearing it with my own ears still felt like being struck by a hammer. I'm downstairs, he said. I went downstairs. He was standing by the car, holding the report. Emma, he handed me the report. Elliot must return to the GU family. Impossible. I exploded immediately. He's the only heir to the GU family. He needs the best education, the best environment. Not with you. What if you come with me? My eyes reddened. I'm poor, I'm useless, but I've raised him every single day for the past 5 years. What makes you think you can? Just this piece of paper? Because I'm his father. James said firmly. Legally, I have the right to fight for custody. And with my resources, my chances of winning are 100%. I felt a chill run down my spine. He was telling the truth. James. My voice trembled. Elliot is my life. If you dare take him away, I'll fight you to the death. He looked at my hysterical state and remained silent for a few seconds. There's another option, he said. You and he, go back to the Gu family. I was stunned. I need a wife and name only to stabilize the family. You need a legitimate identity to stay by Elliot's side. His tone was as calm as if he were discussing a business deal. We'll get married. 3-year agreement. During this time, you'll take care of Elliot as Mrs. James. After 3 years, it's up to you whether you stay or leave. Another deal? I scoffed. This is the least damaging option for Elliot right now. He looked me straight in the eye. Or, do you want to separate from him now and let him watch his parents fight over him in court? I was backed into a corner. I want to be with Elliot. Fine. I want to work. A company under the Gu Group, any position you like. I won't sign a contract of servitude. Make it clear in the agreement that I can take Elliot away anytime after 3 years. James's eyes flickered. Fine. Provided Elliot's consent. I closed my eyes briefly. Deal. Moving into the Gu family home felt like a dream. A top-tier luxury apartment in the city center. Elliot ran around excitedly, Mommy. This house is so big and bright. It's like a castle. James's mother, Ida, sat in the center of the living room. Her hair was meticulously combed, and she scrutinized Elliot and me with a critical look. James, is this the child? She asked coldly. Mom, this is Elliot. Elliot, say hello to Grandma. James nudged Elliot. Elliot was a little shy and hid behind me. Hello, Grandma, he said softly. Ida frowned. No manners at all. Where's your upbringing? I felt a pang in my heart. The child's just arrived, we'll teach him slowly. James's tone was calm, but undeniably firm. Emma will be living here from now on, taking care of Elliot. Ida didn't say anything more, got up, and left. Elliot whispered to me, Mommy, doesn't Grandma like us? I patted his head. Elliot, be good. Grandma's just not familiar with you yet. James's sister, Fiona, was an accident. They weren't related by blood. She was supposedly an orphan raised with the Gu family's support and always considered herself a Gu family heiress. The hostility in her eyes was undisguised. You're Emma? She blocked my doorway, scanning me up and down. TSK, James, really, bringing all sorts of people home. Thinks having a son will make you rich? Fiona, please move aside. I couldn't be bothered with her. Stop pretending to be so high and mighty. She lowered her voice, don't think I don't know how you got into James's bed. Bastard. Fiona. James's icy voice rang out. Fiona's face changed, and she forced a smile. James, I was just chatting with your wife. Go back to your room. James warned with his eyes. Fiona glared at me and walked away sullenly. Don't mind her, James told me. She's just a contract wife, I won't care. I turned and closed the door. He stood outside the door, silent for a moment before leaving. James arranged for me to work as a project assistant at a subsidiary of the Gu Group. I started from the bottom. My identity was kept secret. Nobody in the company knew. I buried myself in my work, just wanting an income to prove I could support myself. One day, I worked late. On my way home, a sudden downpour started. I didn't have an umbrella. The bus stop was crowded. A black sedan silently pulled up in front of me. The window rolled down, it was James's driver. Madam, James asked me to take you home. I hesitated for a moment, my soaked clothes clung to my skin, cold. I got in the car. When I got home, the living room light was on. James was sitting on the sofa, a notebook on his lap. Elliot was asleep beside him, a storybook clutched in his hand. The scene felt a little unreal. I tiptoed. "You're back." He closed his notebook. "Elliot insisted on waiting for you, then couldn't stay awake any longer and fell asleep." "Thank you," I whispered, and went over to hug Elliot. "I'll do it." He naturally picked up Elliot and headed towards the nursery. I followed behind. He gently placed Elliot on the bed and tucked him in. His movements weren't exactly gentle, but they were careful. In the dim light of the nightlight, the lines of his profile seemed softer. "Your hair is wet," he said, turning to me. "Go take a shower, don't catch a cold." I felt a little awkward. "Okay." At the company's quarterly report meeting, the project data I was responsible for compiling was specifically praised by the director. "Emma's market analysis is extremely solid. The data is detailed, and the entry point is precise." I breathed a sigh of relief. My efforts had paid off. After the meeting, the director called me over. "Emma, you'll be my deputy in overseeing the collaboration project with Cheeming Technology next month. Do a great job. This is a big project." I nodded excitedly. "Thank you, Director. I'll definitely do my best." I've become even busier with the new project. James seems busy too. We often go days without seeing each other. When we do bump into each other at the dinner table, the atmosphere is always quiet. Elliot, on the other hand, has adapted quickly. His kindergarten teacher says he's become much more outgoing. Every night, he would ask, "Mom, when is Dad coming home?" He promised to take me on a Lego spaceship ride. "Dad's busy with work," was all I could say. One late night, I was revising a plan until dawn. I went to the kitchen to get some water. Light shone through the crack in the study door. Almost unconsciously, I went over. James was leaning back in his chair, eyes closed, brow furrowed. The computer screen was lit, displaying complex project drawings. The coffee cup beside him was empty. The lamplight illuminated the faint dark circles under his eyes. He looked very tired. I gently closed the door, a strange feeling creeping over me. The Cheeming project had entered a crucial stage. The other party suddenly changed their mind, demanding changes to core terms. Negotiations were at a stalemate. I stayed up several nights in a row, recalculating the data and looking for a breakthrough. One afternoon, I was discussing a new plan with my team in the conference room. Fiona suddenly pushed the door open and walked in, holding a cup of coffee. "Everyone's worked so hard." I asked the secretary to make me some coffee. She was all smiles when she suddenly twisted her ankle. A whole cup of scalding hot coffee spilled all over my laptop. Sizzle. The screen went black. "Oh dear. I'm so sorry. Emma. I didn't mean to." Fiona exclaimed, frantically pulling out tissues. What do we do? Are there important documents inside?" Everyone in the conference room was stunned. My mind went blank. That file contained all the data from the new plans I'd worked on for several sleepless nights. "No backup." "Fiona." I stared at her. The fleeting smugness in her eyes didn't escape my notice. "I really didn't mean to," she said, tears welling in her eyes. "Enough." The director slammed his fist on the table in anger. "Fiona. This is a major work accident. I'll pay for it. I'll pay for the computer." Fiona cried out. "James, sob." James appeared at the doorway, his face grim. "What happened?" He walked in. "James." Fiona rushed over. "I accidentally broke Emma's computer while delivering coffee." "I didn't mean to," James said, looking at my computer soaking in the coffee, then at my pale face. "Where's the data?" he asked. "They're all inside," I said hoarsely. "No backup." The conference room fell silent. Fiona sobbed softly. James paused for a few seconds, then coldly swept his gaze over Fiona. "Send it for repair first. Fiona, come to my office." He led the weeping Fiona away. The director sighed, Emma, this matter, sigh. I clenched my fists, my nails digging into my flesh. Anger and resentment choked me. When I got home that evening, Elliot rushed over, Mommy. I hugged him, and the warm, milky scent of my child made me feel alive again. James returned, his face still grim. The atmosphere at the dinner table was heavy. Elliot looked at me, then at James, and whispered, Dad, Mom's unhappy today. James glanced up at me. About the project? Yes. I lowered my head and ate my rice. Fiona won't be appearing at your company anymore, he said suddenly. I was stunned. I've transferred her to the overseas branch. She's leaving tomorrow. This punishment was a bit harsh. Because she broke my computer? I asked. She crossed the line. James's tone was calm, yet cold. The Gu family raised her, not so she could cause trouble. I didn't say anything more. The grievance in my heart seemed to dissipate a little. It was the middle of the night. My mouth was dry, so I got up to drink some water. I passed by the study. The door was ajar. Light was coming in. James's voice came through, sounding very tired. Jill, there's been a data issue with the Chiming project. Yes, the core analysis Emma did was accidentally lost. I know time is tight. He paused, seemingly listening to her. I understand. But I know her capabilities. Give her 3 more days, and I'll personally oversee it. I stood outside the door, my heart leaping. Was he there, buying me time? Even risking his own reputation to vouch for me? There was silence inside. I quietly walked away. Back in my room, my mind was in turmoil. Why did he have to go to this lengths for a marriage of convenience? The next morning, James knocked on my door and handed me a brand new notebook. Here. This. I had my assistant deliver it last night. His tone was normal. You submitted a draft of Chiming's materials to my email before. I had the tech department recover part of it. The rest, 3 days, is that enough? I took the notebook, it was heavy. Enough. I looked up at him. Thank you. No need. He turned away. For the project. He left. I watched his retreating figure. This man, he didn't seem so cold and heartless after all. 3 days. No sleep, no rest. Every night when James came home, the study light was still on. Sometimes I'd go out to get water in the early hours, and his study door would still be open. The afternoon of the 4th day. The Chiming project negotiations restarted. The atmosphere in the meeting room was heavy. I took a deep breath, turned on my computer, and connected the projector. Dear leaders, regarding the proposed amendments to the terms proposed by Chiming, we have conducted a comprehensive new profit and loss assessment and risk analysis. I have clearly and logically presented the new proposal, which is based on detailed data, has sound logic, and addresses all of their concerns. The person in charge from Chiming Fang initially frowned, but later nodded frequently. James sat in the main seat and didn't say a word. But I could feel his gaze on me. In conclusion, the new cooperation framework we proposed can minimize risks and achieve a win-win situation while ensuring the core interests of both parties. My palms were sweating as I finished saying that last sentence. A brief silence followed. Jill from Chiming led the applause. Brilliant. James, your Emma is a real talent. The plan is very solid. James's lips seemed to curve slightly, a very faint smile. Jill, you flatter me. He looked at me, his eyes holding something I couldn't decipher. The project was approved. He announced. Applause erupted in the conference room. My heart, which had been pounding, finally settled. The project celebration banquet followed. I drank a few glasses of champagne, feeling a little dizzy. I went to the terrace for some fresh air. The early summer night breeze was cool. Well done, James's voice sounded behind me. I turned around. He handed me a glass of water. Thank you, I said, taking it. I underestimated you before. He leaned against the railing, his face turned towards the city lights. James, do you see things clearly now? I took a sip of water. He chuckled softly. I rarely heard him laugh. Yes. I see clearly now. He turned to look at me, his eyes deep in the night. You're much stronger than I thought. The evening breeze ruffled his hair, revealing a faint scar on his eyebrow. My heart skipped a beat for no apparent reason. The agreement still has a year and a half left. I looked away, reminding him and myself. He paused for a moment. Elliot's 6th birthday is coming soon. He mysteriously drew an invitation and handed it to James. Dad. My birthday party. You have to come. James was in a video conference and only nodded. On his birthday, I took the day off and decorated the house. Colorful balloons, a Lego-themed cake. Elliot, dressed in a little suit, fidgeted, constantly looking towards the door. Why isn't Daddy home yet? Dad was busy with work, so I comforted him. The children arrived one by one, and the house became lively. The anticipation on Elliot's little face gradually faded. My heart ached. James, he probably forgot. Just as the birthday song was about to end, the door opened. James stood in the doorway, wearing a dark suit and carrying a huge, beautifully packaged Lego box. Daddy! Elliot cried out, rushing towards him. James bent down and picked him up. Sorry, Elliot, Daddy's late. He kissed Elliot's forehead. Elliot hugged his neck tightly. It's not too late. It's good that Daddy's here. James carried Elliot to the cake, and amidst the cheers of the children, he clumsily blew out the candles and cut the cake. Watching the father and son squeezed among a group of children, and seeing the awkward yet earnest expression on James's face, something inside me softened. Shortly after Elliot's birthday, Ida suddenly fell ill with acute pneumonia and was hospitalized. James was visibly haggard, shuttling between the company and the hospital. Fiona flew back from abroad. She was at Ida's bedside, offering comfort and attending to her every need. Auntie, have some water. Brother James, you rest for a while, I'll watch over her. I couldn't help. Ida's gaze towards me remained indifferent. One afternoon, I took some stewed pears with rock sugar that Elliot had made to the hospital. When I got to the ward, the door was ajar. I heard Fiona's voice from inside. Auntie, please don't be angry. It's not worth ruining your health. How could I not be angry? Ida's voice was weak but filled with resentment. James, for that woman of unknown origin and that bastard child, didn't even care about your feelings. Fiona, you are the daughter-in-law I truly love. Auntie, Fiona said, her voice choked with emotion, as long as you're alright, I'll do anything. That woman. All she does is work, pretending all the time. She almost ruined James's big project recently. If you hadn't told me, Fiona, I would still be in the dark. She doesn't deserve James at all. My hands, holding the thermos, were icy cold. It turned out that Fiona had been gossiping behind Emma's back when the project ran into trouble. Auntie, please don't say that about Emma, Fiona said, feigning concern. She's had a tough time too. What do you mean it's not easy? She's only after the Gu family's money. Fiona, don't worry, as long as I'm alive, she won't be a daughter-in-law of the Gu family. I silently turned around, handed the thermos to the caregiver at the door, and left. James came home late that night. I sat in the living room waiting for him. How's Mom? He asked wearily, loosening his tie. The caregiver said she was feeling better this afternoon. I looked at him. James, let's talk. He sat down. Go ahead. Your mom and Fiona, they don't like me and Elliot. I know. He rubbed his temples. Don't worry about them. I don't want to. I stared at him. But Elliot is growing up. He can feel that rejection. I don't want him living in that environment. James paused. The agreement has a year left, I continued. I will abide by it. But after a year, I will take Elliot with me. He looked up sharply, his eyes piercing. Leave? It was agreed that after 3 years, my decision to stay or leave would be up to me. What about Elliot's wishes? His voice turned somber. I will respect his decision. But I believe Elliot needs a home that truly accepts him. I stood up. It's getting late, you should rest. I turned and went back to my room. I could feel his intense gaze on my back. Life appeared calm on the surface, but undercurrents were surging. Fiona, under the guise of taking care of Ida, frequently visited the Gu family. She would often try to get James's attention. James, try the soup I made. James, your tie is crooked, let me help you, James said indifferently. I watched coldly from the sidelines, wanting only to get through the rest of the agreement period peacefully. A grand business reception was held. The Gu family was the host. As Mrs. James, I was forced to attend. James personally came to pick me up. The suit was delivered by him. Champagne-colored, perfectly tailored. I looked a little unfamiliar in the mirror. At the cocktail party, the air was filled with the fragrance of fine clothes and the elegance of women. James, unusually, stayed close to me, quietly introducing me to the important figures. This is Chairman Li of Hongji, this is General Manager Zhou of Huawei. I tried my best to respond. Fiona arrived too. She wore a vibrant red dress, like a dazzling rose. Holding a wine glass, she moved through the crowd, her gaze occasionally glancing at James. Mrs. James? A slick-haired man approached with a wine glass. I've heard so much about you. I heard you used to work at the subsidiary. Hey, James, you have a good eye for talent. His tone was flippant. James's eyes turned cold, and he was about to speak. I smiled and raised my glass. Mr. Zhang, you flatter me. Guz has always valued ability. I've learned a lot at the subsidiary, and I'm very grateful to James for the platform he provided. I was poised and confident, neither servile nor arrogant. Mr. Zhang, having been rebuffed, walked away sheepishly. James glanced at me, a hint of admiration in his eyes. Fiona swayed over. James. Jill's over there, she wants to talk to you about the South City project. James frowned. Go ahead and get busy, I said. He nodded. Don't wander off. As soon as he left, Fiona leaned close to me, lowered her voice, and said maliciously, Emma, what are you so smug about? You really think James treats you differently? He's just putting on an act for that bastard child. I swirled my wine glass, looking at her. Fiona, what else can you do besides jumping around like a clown? Her face flushed. James will see through your true colors sooner or later, she said bitterly. Oh? I raised an eyebrow. What true face? Your true face based on your own abilities? Or, your true face of using Ida as a pawn? Fiona's pupils contracted. What nonsense are you spouting? If you don't want people to know, don't do it in the first place. I said coldly, don't mess with me again. Otherwise, I don't mind letting you know what a single mother will do to protect her child. She was intimidated by the coldness in my eyes and took a step back. I couldn't be bothered with her and turned to leave. As the party was drawing to a close, I got a little tired and went to sit in the lounge area. James came over. Tired? He asked. Yeah. Come on. He took off his suit jacket and casually draped it over my shoulders. The jacket, carrying his body heat and a faint woody scent, covered my bare shoulders. I froze. No need, he said. Wear it. His tone left no room for argument. Stepping out of the hotel, the night breeze was slightly cool. His hand, which was supporting my shoulder, felt warm through his coat. Neither of us spoke. The atmosphere was somewhat awkward. As we neared home, he suddenly spoke, "You're very different today." I didn't turn around. What does James mean? He remained silent. A few days later, a screenshot of an anonymous email circulated within the company. The email was sent to several directors and senior executives. The content was sensational, shocking secret. Mystery surrounding the mother of the Gu family's crown prince. Elliot not James's biological son? Paternity test suspected of being tampered with. The email included a screenshot of a supposedly genuine paternity test report, which stated parentage excluded. It also implied that I used underhanded tactics to get close to James, forged the test, and attempted to use my child to advance my career. The rumor spread like wildfire. Have you heard? Emma's son. My God. No wonder James never got married, I thought. That woman's got some nerve. I walked into the company, feeling strange looks from all sides. My phone rang. It was James. Come to my office. The CEO's office. James, his face ashen, threw a tablet in front of me. The anonymous email was displayed on the screen. Explain, he said coldly. I glanced at it, surprisingly calm. Fake. I know it's fake. He slammed his fist on the table. Who did it? What do you think? I looked at him. Who least wants me and Elliot to go back home? Who most wants to confirm that Elliot is a bastard? Who wishes I would disappear immediately? James's eyes were sharp as knives. Fiona, James, I met his gaze. This time, I won't tolerate it anymore. James acted swiftly. Within half a day, the tech department had pinpointed the IP address from which the email originated and the registration information of the anonymous account, both pointing to Fiona. Ida was still at the nursing home. James led his team there directly for a face-to-face confrontation. Fiona initially vehemently denied everything. James immediately presented the evidence. Fiona, you forged business documents, spread rumors, and damaged the company and your personal reputation, which constitutes defamation. Gu's legal team will fight you to the bitter end. James's tone was icy, leaving no room for negotiation. Fiona panicked completely, throwing herself at Ida's bedside and sobbing, Auntie. Please save me. I just couldn't stand Emma lying to James. Shut up. James snapped, you took advantage of my mother's trust in you, spreading rumors in front of her, and now you dare to deny it? Looking at the overwhelming evidence, Ida was both shocked and furious. Fiona. How could you do such a thing? Auntie, I was wrong, I just loved James too much, Fiona cried, tears streaming down her face. James remained unmoved. Pack your things. Leave the Gu family immediately. Don't ever show your face in front of me or my family again. Otherwise, see you in court. Brother James. Fiona cried out in despair. James turned away, no longer looking at her. He said to Ida, Mom, you should rest well. From now on, don't worry about the family matters. Ida looked at her son's resolute back, then at Fiona slumped on the ground, sighed deeply, and closed her eyes. Fiona was asked to leave Gujia that very day. It said she flew back abroad overnight and hasn't been heard from since. The rumors within the company quickly subsided after James personally convened a high-level meeting to clarify the situation and dealt swiftly with several employees who had spread the most rumors. No one dared to gossip anymore. After Ida was discharged from the hospital, James sent her to a hot spring villa in the suburbs to recuperate. Out of sight, out of mind. The house suddenly became quiet. But between James and me, it seemed like something had changed. It was as if there was a layer of unspoken tension between us. Over the weekend, Elliot's kindergarten organized a parent-child sports day. Dad. Mom. You have to come too. Elliot said, holding one child's hand in each, full of anticipation. James actually agreed. On the sports field, go, Dad and Mom. Elliot shouted from the sidelines, his little face flushed. James and I, with our legs tied together, participated in a three-legged race. 1, 2. 1, 2. I shouted. James's arms were around my waist, his palms burning hot. Focus. He whispered. Okay. My face flushed. We stumbled and staggered, but surprisingly, we were the first to cross the finish line. Yay! Daddy's awesome. Mommy's awesome. Elliot rushed over and hugged us. James scooped Elliot up and lifted him high in the air. In the sunlight, the smile on his face was brighter than I had ever seen. At that moment, my heart skipped a beat. That night, after putting Elliot to sleep, I went out of the nursery and saw James standing on the balcony. "Want to talk?" he asked, turning around. "Yeah." The night air was cool. "The agreement," he began, "is about to expire." "Yeah. 3 more months." I gripped the railing. "You said you'd take Elliot away in 3 years." He looked at me. "Do you still think that way now?" I was silent. "Elliot needs a complete family," he said. "Me too," he paused. My heart leaped into my throat. "James," I said, gazing at the distant lights, "our relationship was a mistake from the start, a deal. Mistakes can be corrected. Deals," he took a step closer, "can become real." I looked up in surprise. His eyes were incredibly serious in the night. "Emma, I've watched you these past 3 years. Watched you work tirelessly, watched you protect Elliot, watched you face the storms without bowing your head." His voice was deep. "You handled Fiona's matter more decisively and efficiently than I expected." He raised his hand and gently brushed away the wind-blown hair from my forehead. "I think I've gotten used to the sound of your and Elliot's voices in the house. I've gotten used to coming home to find the lights on. I've gotten used to having you by my side." My heart pounded like a drum. When the contract expired, he gazed into my eyes. "I want to renew it. But this time, I want to renew it for life. Emma, will you be my real wife?" The evening breeze blew by. The city lights in the distance reflected in his eyes like shattered stars. I didn't speak. The light in his eyes seemed to dim slightly. I began, but the phone rang sharply. It was an emergency call from the children's room. James and I paled and rushed to Elliot's room at the same time. Elliot lay on the bed, his face flushed, his body burning hot. His breathing was rapid. "Elliot! Elliot!" I touched his forehead, it was alarmingly hot. James scooped the child up in his arms. "To the hospital." He sped along the road late at night. The emergency room. After examining me, the doctor's expression turned grave. "Acute laryngitis. Airway edema. A tracheotomy is needed immediately." My legs went weak. James held me tightly. "Save him. Doctor. Please save him." My voice trembled uncontrollably. "Family member, sign." The nurse handed me the surgical consent form. James snatched the pen, his hand surprisingly steady, and quickly signed his name. His other hand remained tightly gripping my arm. "Don't be afraid," he said hoarsely, "Elliot will be all right." The operating room light flashed red. Every second was agonizing. I leaned against the cold wall, shivering. James pulled me into his arms and hugged me tightly. "Don't be afraid," he repeated, his voice steady, as if reassuring me, and as if reassuring himself, "I'm here." His embrace was firm and warm. I clung to his clothes like a drowning man grasping at a straw, tears welling silently. Time had never felt so long. Finally, the operating room light went out. The doctor came out. "The surgery was a success. The child is out of danger. Observe him overnight. If there are no problems, he can be transferred to a regular ward." My heart, which had been hanging in suspense, finally settled. My legs went weak, and I almost fell. James held me firmly. Thank you, doctor," I sobbed. Through the glass window of the ICU, we saw Elliot lying on the small hospital bed, wearing an oxygen mask, but his chest rising and falling evenly. James held my hand tightly the whole time. His palm was warm and slightly sweaty. The next afternoon, Elliot was moved to a regular ward. The anesthesia wore off, and he whimpered in pain. Mommy, it hurts, Daddy's here, James said, sitting by the bedside, awkwardly holding Elliot's little hand. Dad, Elliot said, his big, wet eyes wide, I dreamt of you and Mom when I was sick, and we were together. James's Adam's apple bobbed. Elliot, be good, he said in a low, husky voice, Mommy and Daddy will always be with you. Elliot looked at me, Mom, let's not go, okay? I want to stay with Dad, and I want to stay with Mom. My tears instantly fell. James looked at me too. His eyes were red. Okay. I took Elliot's hand and placed it on top of James's. We're not leaving. We're family, together. James gripped my hand tightly in return. Our fingers were intertwined, with a strong pull. Elliot smiled weakly. Outside the window, the sun shone brightly. 3 months later. The president's office of the GU Group. James, this document needs your signature. The new assistant was extremely respectful. James took the document and signed his name with a flourish. The assistant left. James picked up the photo frame on the table. Inside was a group photo taken not long ago at the beach. He was holding Elliot, and I was nestled beside him. All 3 of us were smiling brightly. He ran his fingertips over my smiling face in the photo, a gentle smile curving his lips. The phone rang. It was the family short number special ringtone. He answered immediately, his voice softer than anyone he'd ever heard before. Okay, got it. What do you want to eat tonight? Sure, I'll bring it back. I love you too. He hung up the phone, stood up, and walked to the huge floor-to-ceiling window. The golden rays of the setting sun bathed the city. He grabbed his coat and walked briskly to the door. His family was waiting for him. This time, it wasn't a transaction. It was a true haven. At the kindergarten gate, I led Elliot out by the hand. The setting sun cast long shadows. Mommy, will Daddy come to pick us up today? Elliot asked, looking up. Yes, I smiled and squeezed his little hand. As soon as he finished speaking, a familiar black sedan smoothly pulled up to the side of the road. The door opened. James got out and strode towards us. The setting sun outlined his tall figure. Elliot cheered and rushed over, Dad. James bent down, scooped his son up high in his arms, and held him high above the ground. Elliot's giggles echoed all the way. He carried his son and walked up to me. Naturally, his free hand took mine. His palm was warm and dry, tightly enveloping my fingertips. Go home, he said. Yes, go home, I nodded with a smile. In the afterglow of the setting sun, the shadows of the 3 of us overlapped, stretching very long. Like a complete painting. Elliot wrapped one arm around his father's neck and reached out to take my hand. Dad. Mom. Look. Our shadows are connected. James looked down at me, his eyes sparkling. Yes. Connected. He tightened his grip on our clasped hands. Never to be separated again. A gentle evening breeze carried the warmth of early summer. I grasped his large hand, feeling the warmth and strength in his palm. My other hand held my skipping son's steady hand. The streetlights flickered on, illuminating the way home. This path is no longer the one where Elliot and I stumbled along alone. His shoulders are broad enough to bear the weight of a family. My steps are steady, allowing me to walk forward side by side with him. Elliot's clear laughter fills the emptiness of our past. Home. I silently repeated that word in my heart. This time, it truly felt complete.